Good morning, rock stars, and welcome to our official kickoff of Aurifil Color Builders 2022. We are here to start our Flora block of the month with frangipani or Layflower. All right, y'all are literally, I wish there was a way that I could show you. You are on a flatbed cart with 2 rolls of batting, and then my AccuQuilt box and my laptop is sitting on top of that. So we're gonna do the best we can with making sure y'all can see what I'm up to, and we're going to have a fabulous time. All right, if you are here live, go ahead and say hi. I am going to bring up with me my friend and frequent partner in crime, Kate Brennan, who is also here. Hey, friend.
Hey, how are you?
Is this the office?
I am having a really hard time hearing you, and so I don't know if it's me or you or.
It might be me. Let me check on my audio. Okay, still AirPods, still. Is your volume turned up? Can the rest of y'all hear me? Bum, bum, bum. Let me get. Sorry, y'all are going to see me do this awkward lean a lot this morning. It's very unfortunate, but it's what we got. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Is it any better yet, Kate?
Okay. I don't know. Can you say something now?
Testing, testing, testing.
It's still coming through the phone. I don't know. It's weird. If everybody else can hear you and everybody can hear me, then I will deal with the wonky audio because
it says that Anne says I'm breaking up a little bit. So hopefully our internet will cooperate. I'm on the 5G. We've been having a lot of issues with these cold fronts that have been coming through.
I don't know.
And my internet has been, I'm like, I don't even know if that's a thing, but it feels like my internet is struggling with it. Okay. So we're gonna hope that we do well here today. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Color Builders to officially be kicking off today?
Okay, so I am so excited. This whole process started last summer when my people came home from university, when they came home from college. And I'm sure that other designers and fabric designers and all of the are used to like the length of time that it takes to get stuff from one place to another. But this is all, it's new for me. So it's been so exciting because I believe it's good. I'm excited about it, but it's really neat now to see everybody else go, and I'm starting to see the block on Instagram, and I've been tuning in here and there to your lives and to listening to our other customers talk about how well received the blocks and collections have been. And so that is that's really exciting.
I agree. I'm super excited.
So
I'm like sitting here shuffling my stuff around, and it's been so fun to be a little bit behind the scenes with you as you've been working on this. And what the rock stars may not know is we're on Marco Polo together. And so Kate and I, and it's always late at night. So Kate and I always end up, Havana, so help me if you keep causing trouble. She's getting into stuff. Again, like, do you just want to be on the video? Come here. All right, the iron is on. We got to be careful. We don't want you to get little scorched paws, but come say hi.
No. And it's funny because you have the dog that runs by every so often, and I have the L train that goes by because I'm here.
Yes.
I'm in the office at Aurifil USA headquarters, downtown Chicago, 22 West Lake Street, and the L goes like right past. When it comes, I shouldn't say if, because when. I'll see if I can adjust the thing so y'all can see it. But
I think Havana wanted her camera moment based on that little pose. All right, girl, off you go. Okay. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Aside.
So yes, having been, so we talk late at night, we talk creative things, and it's been fun watching this come to life, and I'm excited to finally be here and doing it. And John just asked the question that I was truly about to answer. So let me give you rock stars a little bit of an update. So those of you who were already signed up for Color Builders, your thread has shipped. Hopefully it will be to you like in the next day or two. I don't know what our snowstorms this past weekend did to shipping. Havana night, onto your bed. Now, chewing up shipping boxes,
So,
empty ones, but still.
so you guys have actually had more snow than we have here in Chicago, which
Seriously?
personally I think is rude. Because
Disrespectful. That is disrespectful. Because you like snow.
I do very much.
For 12 hours. And then when I get up the next day and it's still there, I say bad words. Like, I don't want it to still be there. If you doubt this, like, go watch my Instagram stories this morning where I'm like, I'm only in a jacket. It's beautiful. Because I just don't like being cold. So anyway, some of you have gotten your thread. Huzzah. That's so exciting. So shipping appears to be functioning. We got word yesterday that the fabric for our bundles has shipped. Hallelujah. Finally, if you were on with me last night, I shared a little bit about how one of the big holdups we've had is there were 2 colors in the bundle that have been back ordered since November. And so ultimately we ended up working with Paintbrush yesterday. We made a couple of substitutions for colors that they have in stock. I think the bundle is ultimately going to be more beautiful. It's going to be the perfect starting place for our block of the month together. So I have pulled my fabrics. Those fabrics are hopefully going to come for y'all, those of you who have pre-ordered your bundles, or if you are ordering now. I've got links in the caption of this video to go sign up for Color Builders. Please do. Please jump in and join us. Where's my thread? I don't even have my thread over here. What am I thinking? This is the January. It's because I have too many projects on this table. I'm in process. So our January box, whoop, here we go. It's here. These beautiful threads that are arriving to y'all now. I love how we both are like
Instagram people.
I'm so excited. So we are hoping that everything gets to us next week. It's projected to arrive truly a week from today. We're expecting more snow this weekend. Insert swear words here. So I think that in reality, we will probably get it in a week and a half. Like, I just want to be like super honest with y'all. I think it'll probably get to us right at the end of January. And then of course we will need to cut it all up. It is coming on a pallet of fabric is coming. Yeah, I got a call from the freight company yesterday confirming that I have a private driveway they can leave the pallet in. Yes. So of course, then we will have to get it from my house over here to the studio, get it cut up, get it bundled, sent to y'all. I admit I was being optimistic last night. I think the like realistic projection at this point is it will come with your February thread. I wish I had better news than that, but at least it's in process. We've moved away from fabric being stuck offshore somewhere to fabric is in fact on a truck. Okay. So we're gonna count our blessings on that. So pre-orders are still open. You will not be behind if you order your thread and fabric now, because we are just getting started. And with that, let's in fact get started, shall we? Okay. So I've got fabric. Kate, I'm literally gonna stand here and like pretend I know what I'm doing with applique. Rockstars who have been stitching along with me have been watching me practice. So we had an event. Kate was a part of our events last month. Of the Quilting Rockstars band camp, and we had a whole bunch of industry experts come teach us about applique. And Heidi Pridemore from the Whimsical Workshop included this little sun/flower
that is so cute.
pattern. And thank you. I used my Color Builder 2021 scraps for this one. And so Heidi included this in the workbook for that event. A replay for that is still available for purchase. I'm trying to think of the best way to give y'all a link. I will make sure that a link gets posted in the Quilting Rockstars video, and I'll update the YouTube caption when we're done, because it's not in there right now. But the replay is still available for purchase if you want to actually learn from real experts, not just like watching me fumble along. Because what I'm doing this year is I'm practicing in public with y'all. I also got the email about Flora and went, where's my full picture of it? Anyway, I got the email about Flora and went, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I don't know how to do that. So we're going to be learning together. I think I've got a picture here handy. Maybe not.
I have like this one.
Here we go.
It's one of the first.
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yep.
So when this one came out, I was like, it's stunning. I don't know how to do that. So Rockstars, we're learning together. I've been practicing last night. Look at this. We did a little bit of stitching. Look how nice and shiny that 50 weight is.
It's
That
so
blanket
cute.
stitch. I got out my little singer. I learned about putting a little bit of supportive paper on the back
Mhm.
so that I get good stitch quality. So we are on a learning journey together this year, rock stars. All right. One of y'all said, hold on, I got to toggle over to see who said it.
Yeah.
Someone says, you have experience now. Yes, I do. I am learning. Sue, is that you breathing into a paper bag again? No, Denise, it's you. Denise says the fronds of that palm tree have me breathing into a paper bag. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this one piece, one block, 1 month at a time, and it's
Right.
going to be fabulous. If there's something that I learned from working on this little mini project, is that we just go slow. We're going to take it as it comes. It's going to be wonderful. So, rock stars, some of y'all already said how excited you are, but I want to know on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are we to finally start this project? And
I will be like, and Holly Ann and I have talked about this, like applique, or especially raw edge applique, is not necessarily my go-to method.
Yes.
And so over the course of the summer, as this project was developing and sort of snowballing out of steamrolling out of control. I won't use snowball because it's a bad word for you.
Yeah, that's.
But
you woke up and chose violence.
Yeah. As we were, as this product was developing and project was developing, and really the threads that we had chosen were sort of telling us what the project needed to be. I also went on a mad scramble to get some tips and pointers, and the folks that you had on your Bandcamp were exactly the videos and the people that I talked to. Barb Persing, with her edge thread coloring technique, was such an inspiration for this project, and she is such a delightful person. She's one of my favorite people to meet up with at market.
Is she gonna be at QuiltCon? Can we hang out at QuiltCon?
I don't think so.
Darn.
I know. I'm not sure. I haven't seen her there in years past.
Yeah.
And I'm not really entirely sure what's on her plate right now, either, as far as new projects or fabrics or whatever. She works primarily in boutiques. And last night during your live, somebody was asking about
Sue was asking about prints.
Yeah, about using print fabrics, about using
what a great
scrap
idea
and stuff. And really, this project is really good for scraps. I am very tempted to do another one and just completely dive into my scrap bin. I am kind of like, so I have all the blocks done. I haven't done all the top stitching on them, but
I love that.
I'm really tempted to do another set of blocks
and work on my blocks.
Yeah.
And start having some samples and then we can make a set together. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
So those of you who are scrappy quilters, like, take that to heart. And like I said, like, we've got this bundle. I think it's going to be a fabulous starting point. I think you also could mix and match it. Bring in a few other fabrics.
Absolutely.
And it would be super fun. I'm already looking ahead to next month to the corpse flower, and I'm like,
I brought mine.
Okay, play show and tell with us. So y'all, what I'm doing here, yes, I do. I totally do. So y'all, what I'm doing here is I'm simply working on tracing my template pieces. Remember what Sue emphasized to us last night from her own experience. They're already reversed for you.
Right. So there's actually both set in the pattern that was emailed out. There's a set of straightforward there's a set of templates that is not reversed and a set that is reversed. So there should only be two pages of templates for you to trace. Please don't trace all 4. You'll get 2 flowers. Well, actually, go ahead. Trace all 4. You'll get 2 flowers.
You'll get 2 flowers.
One will go the other way. But
Now I'm
just so
wondering if
you
I'm
know,
tracing the right
like, don't
one.
be intimidated by the 4 pages of templates because you only need 2 of them for one flower.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask a question and I'm going to show the fact that I'm new to applique. Y'all remember, I'm being the newbie and I'm going to ask the like dumb questions so no
Sure.
one here ever has to feel dumb. I just realized I'm tracing the forward ones, like the non-reversed ones. Does that, because I'm glad you said this. Clearly, I need to read more carefully. I'm working with solids. What does this mean for me? Does it matter?
No.
Am I tracing correctly? Am I tracing the right ones? What do I need to do?
Here is where the hiccup will happen, and you can decide if this is a problem for you or not. First of all, what are you tracing it on? Are you tracing it on freezer paper or straight onto your soft fuse? Your fusible.
Onto my soft fuse. Yeah, my fusible. The paper side of the fusible.
Okay.
So am I doing the right one for me?
Sure.
I love, okay, Kate is doing what I do to y'all all the time, where I'm like, there's not a right or wrong here. Like, try it out, see what happens. Right. Now I understand why y'all get mad at me, but that's okay. Keep going.
It's fine. It's all good. So the only hiccup that will happen and is that when you go lay out your pieces, what you're laying out will be reversed of the picture.
So I've made the mirror image because I'm tracing it onto the fusible.
Right. So when you go to set this leaf, you're going to have to look at the picture and think, oh, this doesn't go here. This goes over on the other side of my fabric. So I've
turned this into foundation paper piecing that I have to do it backwards and in high heels.
Right. So
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Y'all, I'm going to say, delightful. Must set these over here. I'm starting over on the reverse. Okay. Look, we learned together. We're iterating.
Yeah. So that is why we did both sets of templates, was so that, you know, for folks who want to trace it directly onto their fusible, they have the reverse. And then their piece of fabric, their piece of background fabric will match their little drawing. Exactly.
Okay. So, which y'all make sure you enlarge that placement drawing. So I enlarged this like 122%, and I think that's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
So just know that you need to enlarge it to be able to see. Sue, we did it together. What can I say? we goobed together. This is what we do though. This is very on brand for us to goob together.
Another technique for applique is to trace all of your pieces onto freezer paper and then iron that to the front of
that makes sense.
Fabric. In which case you would need the not reversed pieces. So both techniques are used widely, and so we had a long debate. And
I feel like it probably has been a lively conversation at Aurifil headquarters for this.
There's a lot of lively conversations that happen here.
Well, y'all are just lively, so you know.
Good lively.
Yes.
So we just finally were like, oh, this is going to be, because either way we did it was going to be like half of the folks were going to have trouble. And so we're like, well, I think it was Erin who said, well, why not just do both? And we're like, oh, well, that seems
Erin
like
is very easy way smart.
To fix that problem.
I love it. Problem. So, Rockstars, you get to hear the explanations and the backstory live. How delightful!
Right. There you go.
Okay, so for those of you who are doing the technique that I'm just going to recap this. Those of you who are doing the technique that I'm doing, that I am tracing onto Fusible, use the 2 pages of already reversed patterns because we're going to be ironing onto the back of our fabric. If you are wanting to use freezer paper and attach it to the top or front of your fabric, use the first 2 pages of templates that are not reversed.
Right.
Check. Okay.
Perfect. There you go. And then once you get all of your pieces traced and then ironed, fused onto the proper colors and I say the proper colors because I have a bunch of extraneous petals that are actually the wrong color. I have like a basket of mistake pieces, and I'm wondering,
That's a
what
comfort
I
to
could
all of
build
us.
with that.
I feel like you could build a really cool like border bit with that of like just piecing
I don't
together
know.
into like a little like
Be like very Andy Warhol.
yeah, or just like flower petals like
Um,
exploding randomly somewhere.
and the whole thing. So like I made all of these blocks. Of course, after work, after everybody went to bed. So I have only the dogs there to, well, and sometimes you on the phone, to listen to me fuss and like figure all of this out. And then of course try to take notes so that we could write it up as a pattern. I have a whole new respect for pattern. I mean, I already did have a huge amount of respect for people who do this for a living, like this part of it for a living.
Pattern writers are like I've written a few patterns, but y'all know it's been a minute. Like it's been like 3 years since I've written a pattern, and there's a reason for that. I do not have the character and constitution of folks who crank these patterns out and who do such a beautiful job. I'm like, y'all
Wow.
Y'all are like the marathoners of the quilting world. Like
It
you are a
is-
breed apart.
Yes. So I got it all put together. Half of my blocks are actually reversed because I quit doing the freezer paper technique about halfway through.
That's hilarious.
So which is also why I probably need to do another set for the office. I need to do a quilt for the office because we have one of all of the blocks of the month here, and I think this first one I kind of want to keep for me because of all of the learning
It's
that's
got a story to it.
into the one. Yeah, like I feel like, I mean, of course everybody here would appreciate it. And it would, be hanging next to some very amazing, amazing projects that all of our Aurifil designers have done for us here. And that in and of itself is very, very cool. But I kind of feel like I don't, I would worry about it because it's a baby of mine now.
Yeah. This is like a little quilty offspring.
Yeah.
Quilty offspring. Denise has a very good question. She is wondering in future patterns if you could include, or even just like you can tell me and I can put it in an email, what percent to include to increase the placement drawing to?
Oh, sure. I can do the maths on that this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will get those, Denise.
Yeah.
Denise emailed me for the rest of you and said that she did about 122% for this, and that's what I did as well.
Okay.
I just eyeballed it and it looked correct, but she didn't know if it was going to be consistent across the flower. I'm suspicious not because the blocks are different.
Yeah,
sizes.
I don't know. I'll have to take a look at
just
it.
to be
I
able
didn't
to
really, because we were using this as a map rather than like a one-to-one placement. Like,
yeah,
I didn't necessarily feel the need to scale it up for my placement, but
right.
that's not, I mean, it's a simple ratio. I can do that. I taught
Brilliant.
math for 15 years. I really hope
Kate is my math person, y'all. Kate,
I really
Kate
hope
is my math person. I don't do public math. Y'all know this. I mess it up every time.
So,
yeah. So Susan, if you want to actually do this, so the way that I was doing the sun/flower last week, where I had my fusible mat down over the placement drawing and we were putting pieces together and fusing them. If you're wanting to do that, then you'll need to enlarge it. Yeah. That's exactly what we're talking about. Which, I kind of feel like as long as I have it close enough, then I can, but yeah.
And the other thing that I kept going through my head, and my friend Christina, who helped with the graphic part of it, because not a computer person, I do not do, these beautiful templates and everything are amazing, and I didn't make them. I did the drawing.
We've learned to let people shine in their areas of expertise.
Yes. So I have the drawings on graph paper at home.
I love it.
Um,
I love it.
um, but yes. So, shoot, I have, Christina put them together for me. And she also works at the Botanical Garden, the Chicago Botanical Gardens, where many of these flowers were. And she kept saying, Mother Nature is not perfect. It's okay if your petal is wonky.
Yes. Okay. I love that. So I think, Kate, I think you know this about me. I taught nature study for 4 years, which, those of you who are not familiar, there's this educator who was in the lakes in England named Charlotte Mason back in the late 19th century. And she was very, she was a very holistic educator. And so she
Yeah.
really believed in combining disciplines as much as possible. And I grew up at a school that used her philosophy. And so I taught there. And nature study is a dry brush watercolor technique for studying nature specimens. And so it's this kind of like art and handwriting and science all kind of mushed into a single activity. And that was something that we constantly had to remind, not even so much our students. We taught first and second graders. So they're little, they're free spirited. They, are still mostly without too much of an inner critic, right?
Mhm.
We had a few, but their parents, the worst part of the job was the parents. This is true of teaching generally, right? I'm a parent of kids at school, so I feel like I can throw myself under the bus and say that out loud. But for them, it wasn't even so much the worst part. It was that they had these inner critics that it had to be perfect, and they would go out and we would be looking for, we'd go to see the red maple tree and be talking about the red maple tree, and we would all be getting a leaf from the red maple tree to go in and paint. And to watch these parents go through like branches of leaves looking for a perfect leaf. And then if they were to go to paint it and they're trying to paint it perfectly and having to have this very same conversation of like, the beauty of nature is that it's irregular and imperfect. And like where symmetry occurs, it's awesome, but it then often messes itself up by getting a hole in the leaf from a caterpillar, because that's just part of how nature works, So just joining you on that soapbox, basically.
Which actually kind of circles back to why we chose this particular subject for the variegated threads, because to stick around all of these, I know, it's full circle. It's very purposeful.
Yes, this is a well thought out situation here. This is why we're also excited about it.
Yay. So using the variegateds to do the edge painting technique of our pursings, I really liked the way the variegated threads like show depth and interest and dimension, which is also why I chose to use solid fabrics for my samples, was because, well, yes, the flowers are gorgeous, amazing, not necessarily what I wanted for the focal point of each individual block. What I really wanted was the interest and depth that the variegated threads give you when you do some of the edge painting and quilting that will come later once they're all put together.
When I get to get back in my own wheelhouse.
When you get to when we leave my wheelhouse and go to yours.
Yeah.
And I'm not even really going to claim this as my wheelhouse, because we have discussed.
You're ahead of me though. So, we're learning. We're on a journey.
We are on a journey.
And we know this as teachers, that sometimes as a teacher, it's not really that your gap of knowledge between you and your students is actually that large. It's just that you've got this little bit and you're willing to share it fast.
Right.
And so like that's a huge part of what we're trying to do here, y'all, not only with just like inspirational conversation, but also I see some really great questions in the chat of like, we're not going to pretend that we have all the answers to this. Like, I'm extremely new to Applique. Kate is much less new than I am at this point. But we're just trying to take what we're learning and we're like handing it out as fast as we can. As
fast as we can. And I love the string and story community. I am a graduate, yay, of Free Motion Quilting Academy, and I will honestly say I learned as much from my fellow stitchers in the cohort as I did from the videos and lessons in the thing. And
Yep.
I appreciated that you have morning people in your groups, and you have not so morning people in your groups, and you have people on different time zones. So they're morning people for them is a night person for me,
Right?
and
I love it.
all of that good stuff. So there is a question here. Do you remove the paper
Yes.
from the piece when you put it on the plastic sheet? Is it still sticky enough to move to your fabric? So yes. So if I understand this question correctly, Sue, what the technique that Holly-Ann is using is she's going to put her map underneath her fusible sheet, and then place the petals and tuck and everything, and then press them down. When you do that, yes, you take the paper off the back of the fusible, so you have just that rubbery back on your fabric. It will also help your pieces stay in place on your silicone sheet, on your pressing sheet. And then, yes, absolutely, because the adhesive, when you melt it together, will stick to other fabrics, but it's not going to stick to your pressing sheet because it's not porous.
Yeah.
And that glue, when you melt it, chemistry lesson, it needs to melt into the fibers of whatever it is that you're trying to stick it to. So because either if you're using a silicone sheet or one of the Teflon ones, mine is actually left over from rubber stamping, crafty art, scrappy
Back in the day.
card making days. That same one will work just fine. Because it is a non-porous surface, your glue is not going to adhere. It'll stick, but you'll be able to peel it off just fine.
Yes.
And if the glue for some reason doesn't stick to your fabric, then you can lay it back down, press it a little bit more with your iron. Of course, every adhesive company has a different set of instructions, so please make sure that you read the instructions for whatever fusible you're using. I chose to use Soft Fuse, which is it's a paper-backed product, so you can trace your shapes right on there. I have also had a lot of luck with Misty Fuse, but it does not have a paper backing, so you'll have to use the freezer paper technique. But it also gives you very soft shapes when you're done. I know a lot of people who do raw edge applique use, I think there's a Pellon, like Wonder Under, or
that's what I'm using. I'm using Wonder Under right now.
Wonder Under. Or
which
or
I was really pleased with it on this. Like, I wasn't sure because it was not one of the ones that was recommended during band camp.
No.
But I'm honestly really loving it, and I got it at the big box craft store. So
good. I have some soft ones coming too, so I can do both. It is a little bit thicker, and on some of the pieces that have a lot of layers, it can get thick.
That's good to know. Okay.
It doesn't mean it won't work. It gets a little bit thick. Your needle, when you go to do the stitching on the top, your needle may have trouble getting through it. Just something to keep in mind on some of the pieces that have a lot of layers. So I hope
good, because I have soft fuse coming too, so I can use soft fuse for that.
Is also very good. I'm looking. That should work.
Sue, the question you're asking about taking the paper off, I don't know if you got a chance to watch the replay of last Friday's live, but I literally on camera did a whole freak out about this of like, wait, do I take the paper off? Is it going to stick? Is it going to stick to the fabric? Am I doing it right? And got many reassurances that, in fact, yes, take the paper off. It's not going to stick to your silicone mat because chemistry.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had success. So, but I had the same question, Sue. I was like, wait a second, is this going to stick when it's not supposed to stick? And y'all, I raised my table up because Maureen was asking about seeing what I'm doing. I'm truly just tracing my shapes right now.
Yeah.
Like we're at the very beginning of this. Like
so
we're in the early stages.
Yeah. And so I was gonna say I personally use soft fuse, but steam seam should work just fine. I haven't used that product in a really long time, but from what I remember, it should be fine. Heat and Bond Light should be just fine. You know, if you get into a block that has a lot of layers and it's too stiff or you don't like it, then try something else. You know.
Yes.
Semper Gumby,
yes.
Always flexible. It's the true motto of the Marine Corps, by the way.
And I think that's exactly, you know, what we're doing here with creating this learning experience of something that at least my impression from the emails I've gotten is that a whole lot of the folks, maybe even the majority who are joining us for this block of the month, are not applique people.
No.
So like, not only do I think that you've designed a stunningly beautiful applique pattern, but you have created this amazing opportunity for those of us who are like, absolutely not, I have other things that I do, to try this and to try it together and be like, you know what? It's not the end of the world if it doesn't look exactly right. We're just going to try it out.
And again, Mother Nature, not perfect. Although we could, I suppose we could get into a very heated debate on fractal geometry, which I really would rather not do. And I would just admire the beauty of the creation of these flowers and everything.
Yeah. There certainly are points in nature where I agree that there is fractal geometry, but that doesn't need to be a debate in my mind. If that's any comfort.
For the most part. Let's see. Yep.
I never took my geometry that far.
And we'll get the excellent, Susan. Yes, definitely use what you have. Absolutely use what you have.
And Carolyn asked about putting a stabilizer on the back of fabric before stitching. So we talked about this last night as I was starting to stitch this little pattern. Yeah. And I just put a little piece of, this is like crispy, is honestly sandwich paper. It's what I've used in the past for string piecing, of just a little bit of stabilizing, or you can use tissue paper. But yeah, a little bit of something will add some stitches.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because I have my little Post-it where I wrote down, I mean, I have stacks of Post-its all over, everywhere, all the time. But I've gotten very good about putting them into my journal, though, like the journal where I keep the notes on all my projects. Like there's washi tape holding Post-its in there now.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, definitely using something on the back when you go to applique and stitch your blocks. Otherwise they can get bunchy, which not a bad look for some things. But in this case, especially if you're going to do a little more heavy stitching, you were just using a blanket stitch on your cute little sun.
I was just for yesterday. I was like, let me try out this blanket stitch situation.
So,
but for these, I definitely am thinking I'll be leaning edge painting because, to your point, like that's how we're going to get to really show off these beautiful variegated
You're going to show off these threads. You're going to hide all of your cutting mistakes also, which is nice. And it has a very, it actually has a very free motion vibe to it. Again, go back and look at I keep referring to Barb Persing's videos because they helped me so much. She uses, and I did too, found good success with a little bit heavier stabilizer on the back. I also do machine embroidery, so I have a bolt of the Pellon 806, which is a stitch and tear, actually machine embroidery stabilizer.
I'm writing that down so that I can remember to check it out later.
Very, very good, very helpful in keeping all of my little, like, especially when you get into, I don't know if you, I will see if you can see,
Oh, look
like
how
when
pretty.
you get in here,
Mhm.
some of these pieces are overlapped and overlapped and overlapped. And so you really want to keep them as flat as you can while you're stitching.
Yes.
But then you want to take out the stuff and let it get wrinkly and let it get, become alive. Whoops. Oh, geez. Stuff on me. Once you get it all the stitching done. And the stitch and tear it comes off very nicely. I'm sure Kate, Tony can go over all the proper
Yeah, so maybe I need to
things
get Kate on here to talk about this.
to get about
Talk about tearaway
stabilizers.
stabilizers. Yes.
Because as much as I can wax on about threads, she can wax on about stabilizer.
Her passion for stabilizer is truly impressive.
It is. It is.
Yeah. She's been
have
doing
that
some
resource.
weight embroidery lately though, and she's pretty hyped on that. Yes, so maybe we'll need to get her on here as well.
Get
That
her
would be
on here
fun.
to do this. Let's see. Denise says I've done it before, not sure I did it right. I'm sure it was fine. I don't know if there is
It
a
was an
right.
iteration and a practice along a journey, just like we have with free motion quilting, y'all. Like that's, I don't know. I think that's something that I'm finding so delightful. And we're so early in this, right? But already there's so many parallels between what we're doing here and what we do in Free Motion Quilting Academy, or what we're doing in Long Arm Prep right
Long
now.
arm
And
or yeah.
yeah, of just learning new skills. And yeah. Let's see. Maureen says, do you remove excess fabric from the back to prevent it from building up? Oh, that's an interesting question.
That is. So also a debate that we had when putting these together. And I did not find it necessary to do that. Because of the the soft fuse that I was using, and I did not, I think the February block, let me take a look at the picture. I want to say the February block is the one that builds up the most in the biggest area. The corpse lily.
Which parts
in
build
that
up on that? I'm
center,
actually super curious about that.
yeah, like, so the center of that is layered. And so it builds up the most. It's not.
Oh, okay, that makes
Really,
sense.
okay. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. It hasn't been a problem. Granted, getting ready to stitch it this weekend during the playoffs. It's like football games are my perfect time to stitch, because my family will not bother me. Nobody else in my family is passionate about football like I am. And they also will stay away because I'll be, I watch the games energetically.
Sometimes I'm talking to her, y'all, and there's a game on in the background, and I just watch her like zone in, and then there's reactions. And I do not sports ball. Heather sports balls.
Yeah. No,
Heather sports balls.
and that's like the
She hates
rest
that
of
I
my
call it sports
family is
ball.
totally sports ball people. I don't know what I did wrong there. The middle one is getting into hockey because she thinks one of them is cute. So I'm like, whatever.
It feels like fair weather fandom, but if it's making you happy,
Yeah, but if she's gonna learn the game and then watch it intelligently with me, I don't care what the motivation is.
You're not angry about that. Yeah, there we go.
So going back to, I'm sorry, Sue, if you remove the excess fabric, what would you fuse to it? So you would kind of make donuts of your pieces. You would fuse, put Fusible on the whole thing, and then cut out the center where the other piece overlaps it. Making sure that all of your edges, of course, are tucked, are underneath the piece on top. Sort of like when you're tucking petals underneath the centers of flowers, or leaves underneath petals and stuff. So
you would have edges that are fused, and then you'll go back and secure it as you stitch down, basically.
Right. So it's a technique that many people who applique a ton do, just because it reduces bulk. I did not find it necessary. But as we
we also just came off of the foundation paper piecing last year, where every month we had like 8 layers of fabric. So you literally just now where you're like, there's like 4 layers of fabric. I'm like, it'll be fine.
That's nothing. You know, and like, there's no seams. There's
right.
No, there's nothing. Seams. You're not folding anything.
How much I'm stitching over that. Yeah, honestly, after last year, I have a whole new respect for like depth of fabric.
Yeah.
I still have yours on the long arm over here, and I like. Woo.
I'm so excited to see that.
I know. I can't wait. I'm fingers crossed I can finish it up in the next couple of days, because I'm so excited about it. I'm ready. I'm ready to write about it. I'm ready to show everybody. It doesn't have the buildup of Fusible. Batiks are great because they're woven more tightly. Right. They don't ravel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes. So someone had asked a question about reviewing Barb's videos and being concerned that with edge painting, it's really just designed for batiks. And I did not get that impression, but no. Does Barb work with batiks a lot? Is that maybe?
I want to say that the fabrics that she has designed have, I don't think they've all been batiks, but she does work with batiks a lot. And they are really nice for applique because there's a tighter weave, all of the aforementioned things. That edge painting technique, actually, on the flip side of that, I kind of like it for some of the looser woven fabrics, because it kind of keeps all of your edges tucked in. So like when you're doing a blanket stitch over time, especially if it's on something that gets washed or loved or taken from show to show to show to show.
Yeah, handled in general.
You know, they can, there's like, it can fray. For lack of a better term. It's not really fraying, but there's like a random thread, you know, it can look not as neat and tidy as I like it to.
Right.
Which has probably been why I don't do as much raw edge applique as I do other things. I needle turn. And you know, obviously foundation piece.
Yes. If we didn't before now, we certainly do now.
English paper piece. I'm like jack of all trades, master of none. So
I'm terrified you're going to end up doing a Color Builders that is EPP, and I'm going to have to hand sew.
No, we did that already. That was
thank God, I missed that
2020. 2020, the very first one.
Blessed.
Yeah.
I love you. I'm not mad that I missed that one, because your girl doesn't hand sew. I don't hand sew.
No, the quilts that I did for that were
that was those like
I did the 12
ones.
Yeah. The 12 minis. In fact, I just did a 13th one because one of them got lost along the way, and so I just finished up another brown one.
Wow, man, you had the character not only to make another one, but to make a brown one. Like it wasn't even like you got to admire like turquoise the whole time.
So everyone, I'm like, okay, so this, you know, I don't love brown. It's not my favorite color.
Yeah, same.
But the way that those came together, it was so rich and had so much like depth in the little mini quilt. It's really kind of cool. Like I like it.
I'm here for it. I love that.
Too. Like, I'm not a huge fan of orange necessarily.
I love orange.
I know.
We all know this.
And, you know, it's not my go-to color. I'm a pink and green. I'm a preppy girl. So pink and green all the way. If the whole world could be pink and green, I would be happy.
blah.
I know. It's okay.
I like green. I like pink. I just don't want the whole world to be pink.
Oh, no,
to be clear.
I'm older than you, so child of the 70s.
Yeah.
You
can buy it honestly.
It's okay. It's not my fault. I honestly
not.
thought like that the little alligators on all of my brother's shirts, I thought those were granimals. I thought that's how they knew what went with what. So, but
I cannot.
Anyway, there's enough about me.
I love it.
Wonderful.
Y'all, I have finished tracing my template. So let me show you what I've done. So I've taken, so here are the 2 pages, right? We had our 2 pages of templates, blah, 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 here.
Lovely.
And now I have everything on my Fusible. And so I've written the piece number on it so I can see it. And then I also have written the color up in the upper corner. Now, y'all, I'm not applying a hard science here as far as choosing colors. I kind of generally pulled from our bundle.
Right.
And I'm really going to let the thread add my texture, add my depth, add my nuance, right? So yeah, I just generally pulled, and so now I'm going to start fusing. I just wanted to give y'all an update on where I'm at with that.
Yeah. And like I have a binder here with all of the patterns, the templates and things that I use. And you can see like here we go. I have notes everywhere. I love it. I am never without a pencil, and I prefer pencil. I don't know why. Teacher, I guess. And I wrote it all. So I had it off to the side referencing. I put the number, I labeled the pieces with the number and letter, but I didn't write the color on it because I had a guide next to me.
Right. Sue asked a very good question, and I'm going to answer based on what I did last week, and then I would love for you to answer based on what you've done with this actual pattern. So when I worked on this last week, Sue, I put the whole little flower together on the silicone first, and then I transferred it over to the background. So, Kate, what have you done with this pattern? Did you assemble it all on your pressing mat first and then move it, or did you move it in sections?
The first 2 I did on the silicone sheet. And I would say, depending on the pattern, I might have done it all at once if it was sort of one main who's what's in the middle. Or I might have done it by part. I really kind of let the pattern tell me how I wanted to do that. By about the 4th or 5th block, I didn't use the silicone sheet. I just did everything on my background fabric. But I did these all in 6 days. So
you were moving and grooving.
1, 2, 3, 4. It was assembly line. I'd sit and trace and cut, and then go put it together, put it off to the side. Sit, trace, and cut, put it together, put it off to the side. So I think when I go back to do my next set, I will probably do the same thing. So the first couple, I won't feel quite as confident to do it right on the fabric. I will do it on a pressing sheet and then transfer it over. There were pieces and parts that I did on a pressing sheet. I think in the passion flower, there's some interesting things with the stamen in the middle of the flower that were easier to assemble off-site assembly.
I love it. Off-site
and then
assembly.
The seeds for the rubber tree also, I think I did off-site, on a pressing sheet before transferring it over.
So there's not necessarily a firm.
No,
answer,
and you'll find things that work for you.
Yeah.
And I think if I hadn't done them all at once, I might have been a little more deliberate about, my process. But really, once you get rolling, you just kind of you find the cheats and the shortcuts where you can.
Yeah.
I don't want to say cheats and shortcuts because that
You find
implies
the
that there's something
efficiencies.
wrong with it. There's not.
You find the efficiencies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and y'all, this is a little bit like, so think about making quilting plans, right? And when you first start making quilting plans for your projects, you will draw out every little bit of every little quilting plan, right? And then you'll start to figure out that there are certain types of quilting plans that maybe you draw some of it, you hold some of it in your head, right?
Mhm.
And then like there are some that I hold in my head. I'm gonna be honest, this quilt behind me, by the time I write a blog about it, I will draw a quilting plan for y'all. But it's a traditional quilt. It has blocks, it has sashing, it has a border. And so I know that I will have a fill in the background. I'm doing wishbones and sashing because that's what your girl does. And then I will have a border motif. And what I've decided that I'll be doing is I'm doing a different fill in the back of every block. So I went through and I chose all my thread colors. I'm going to pick my fills as I go. Right. So same kind of thing of like, I know in my head how a traditional semi-custom quilting plan works. And I don't necessarily have to go through the exact process of drawing it out ahead of time.
Right.
Because I feel confident in my ability to keep track of this, right? And I think the same thing is going to happen for all of us with our applique, that like as we get going, we'll have our comfort level and we'll have our systems and it'll work.
And like it will tell you what it needs. Like the project will tell you like, oh, I can cut and put this together while watching something that I'm a little more focused on, or I really need to focus on what I'm cutting and putting together. Like the water lily, the May block, is pretty straightforward. You're cutting petals and then you're slipping them all in there together, and it's not something that requires as much attention as like the jade flower, which is turquoise, which is
that one's
in
bananas,
the summer.
man. That's the one that's got me breathing in a paper bag, y'all.
No. Yeah. It did the first time. The second one was great.
Okay. The second, okay. Well, honestly, I think I'm probably going to end up making two. So, let's see. One of y'all, let's see who just joined. Kathy, welcome. Kathy, we are talking about the Aurifil Color Builders block of the month and chatting about it, basically, as I'm sitting here starting on the very first block. Let's see, are the threads sent mostly for the applique process or are they also for the quilting? Both, Susan. Great question.
Yeah.
One of y'all said, do you just do plain colors and then thread paint? That's a big part of what I'm planning to do, is to do a lot of thread painting with pretty simple colors. I'm super excited about it. It's going to look really great. Let's see. Oh, and then one of y'all was asking if we're talking about Aurifil. Let's see.
No, Sue.
Oh, yes, Kathy, I got you. Perfect. Oh, Susie says, from the bundle, which colors have I chosen for block one? I will have to look up the names to tell you the exact names so that I can get that for you. Yep. Helen says, when you press the paper right to the fabric and then cut, you will save fabric. You will only be cutting on the line, so you won't be wasting fabric. You don't need a bigger scrap. Yes, I'm definitely not being my most efficient self with this block. I think this will get more efficient as we go. Yeah. I also
and you can get them to fit in all kinds of weird. This is why why. So I go back and forth because I really like my sewing space to be neat and tidy. But then I start a project like this where like it just needs, I mean, like this first one for the centers of the 3 flowers, you need like seriously a square inch of fabric.
Yeah, like that. So, it's like nothing, y'all.
Yeah. It's like nothing. And you could, I suppose, if you don't have any yellow fabric, you could stitch it in too, which could be kind of
cool. That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you really, I don't know. It could, scraps work really well for this. The bundle also, well, I'm a nut for solids anyway, so.
Yeah, truly.
And really have a good supply of those. from various projects and everything. And I love to English paper piece, and I love to do little tiny scrappy pieces, as Holly Ann knows, because the one she just finished for me. Lots of little itty bitty pieces.
Yeah, I thought nothing would top last year's Color Builders for layers of fabric. I think you might have with that.
I think maybe.
Yeah, you might have
that one.
you know, but it worked. It worked. It came together.
I'm so excited about that one. I'm just all
I know.
just excited.
I know. I need to get the logo on it, and then I'll bring it to QuiltCon. So
cool. So
okay, I see. Oh, the other thing, Helen, is with this. So some of y'all are going to be watching me being like, Holly Ann is not being very efficient. She's blowing through fabric. The other thing, frankly, is that I'm doing these blocks live with y'all. And if I try to be too streamlined, I will make more mistakes. So I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of efficiency and like fabric saving to be able to be here. And I just know me. I know that's my trade-off, and that's okay. Like,
yeah. And that little piece that you have left over with Fusible on it will work for something else.
Yes, exactly. So I'll start a scrap bin for this the same way that I did here. Well, it's way over there. I'm not going to get it. That's another good point though. If y'all ordered the bundle last year for Color Builders 2021, or if you just got your solids for 2021, pull those scraps out and weave those in as well, because those are going to, it's a, you know, they all coordinate. All these Color Builders things coordinate with each other.
And in fact, in my set of samples, I used the same color. I used the same fabrics as I did for 2020 and 2021.
Nice.
Because when I was picking the colors, when I was picking the threads for 2022, I kept referencing back to the previous collections because a couple of things. One, I didn't want any repeats.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't help you build a stable of colors.
Out. Yeah. We're trying to have as much of that color card on our thread wall as possible, you know.
Right. And you already have those. But I wanted them to be able to go. So like our January colors for 2020 and 2021 were those beautiful grays. So for that, I got to pick the gray variegateds. I worked with the gray variegateds that we have. And then the solid one actually isn't a gray. This is 2800.
That's the green, and it's so pretty.
So it's actually a green. It's a neutral, but it has a green tinge to it. And this is one of my go-to
growing up. And I
bobbin
love that color. Yes.
See, I know you're a matchy. I know you match your bobbins to everything.
I do. I love my bobbins.
Very rarely do I. I have 30 bobbins, and half of them are in grays and actually, you know, one of these. And then there's a couple of the 4121, which is like the off black.
Oh, I don't know if I have that one.
Yeah, it's a really good color. It's not black, but it's like off black. You know, like Once Upon a Time in a galaxy far, far away when we all wore hose. Yeah, that off
it was the off black. Yeah, no, I know exactly the color you're talking about. Like as soon as you were like hose, I'm like, oh, now I know what we're talking about.
Yes. Or a dark gray. And that's what I use in my bobbins. So I know you match
I'm
stuff.
matchy.
Yeah, I do. I just go with the suggestion of what it is.
And last night I was not exact matching my bobbins last night. So I just want to say, once in a while it happens.
Good. It's okay. It'll be okay.
It'll set me free. It'll set me free.
It will be pretty. And this 2800 is a really good neutral to throw in your bobbin for everything. And I also think, especially with the variegateds, since you have different colors in the top thread already.
That's a good point.
It's
So
kind of okay. This is like,
oh, look at what
in
you've
between.
done. Look at you are so sneaky. You were so sneaky. You're gonna make me not match my bobbins all year.
You know. Yeah.
Notice
Well,
how I immediately jumped to her acting like that was a whole strategy of hers. Let me answer a couple of these questions. For fabric, quick update on the fabric. Fabric is en route to us. I think the most reasonable promise I can make at this point is it's going to ship with your February thread. If we miraculously get lucky and it gets here like shockingly fast and we get it cut shockingly fast, that may be different, but I think that's a reasonable promise I can make at this point with everything that we've had happen with this fabric so far. One of y'all mentioned white. I did realize last night that there was not white in our bundle. So we will be adding white to all of your bundles. I've ordered it. It is also on its way because I don't know how that happened. I was like, well, we're going to chalk that up to holiday brain and we're just going to add it in there for you. So you're all good to go. And then one of y'all asked about stitching, that since the colors of the fabric, let's see. Denise, what was your question? I'm wondering about the stitching. Since the thread we received this month is light, would you wait until another month to stitch the edge of the leaves?
Okay.
That's a good question.
Good question.
Weigh in on that.
Nope. I got another Post-it. And
Kate came prepared. She came prepared today, y'all.
I want to be good for you.
I love that. I'm so grateful for you.
So let's see. Oh, and Maureen has a question about the silicone mat here on the YouTube chat. And then Denise says, I like to use Aurifil Dove Gray. Absolutely. 2600.
100%.
Best color ever. Color I picked. Like I brought my spool into the paint store and they color matched the walls for my studio at home.
I did the same thing at our last house, and we will be doing that for this house because the gray that it is right now is not 2600, and John and I are both over it, and we want that. It's like close, but it's a little warm.
Oh, okay.
And John and I both are like, no,
15, which is the other.
And but I want my walls to be 2600. So yeah. Anyway, we're also extra about 2600. Fear not.
Yeah. Oh, it has like its own like hashtag. Like you can go Aurifil 2600, and there's a hashtag for that. There's hashtags for everything, but like that one.
But there's not one for every Aurifil color, but there is for 2600.
It's for 2600. There's
it has
a couple others that have devoted followers, but yeah. So the colors, because I knew this was going to come up. So the colors that I used, and I'll show my black here in a moment. For the petals, I used the two variegateds that were in the box. I used the 2800, the green in the bobbins for everything, and a little bit on top, and we'll get into that. For the dark stem and the outline of the leaves, and I used a color from the March box. And then for the veins, I also used a color from the March box. And then for the centers, I used a color from the July box. So I really, like, as I looked at my stash of threads, I really wanted to make sure that I used colors that people were going to get.
Yes, I love it.
So
there may be some pieces of this that we mix and match in as we're going along.
Yes. So on mine, let me make sure I'm showing it right side up. And this might be one that I reversed or not. I don't know.
I love it.
I didn't do them in order, which I should have. But this is the one that I finished up the other day. And I used for these white petals. Where's my note? I used the 4060. Which is that the lighter one? Yeah, that's the lighter of the two variegateds.
This is one of my very favorite variegateds. I love this.
I've been known to wind bobbins with that too.
Yeah, I can see why.
Then for these little gray gray shadowed pieces. They're like
Mm-hmm.
the where the petal is folding over. I used the little bit darker one, the 4670.
Mm-hmm.
And then the centers, these guys I used, 3920, which is a variegated as well. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if y'all can see
Oh
that.
yeah. Little, is that the July yellow?
And that'll be in July. Although your solids from the July color builders of
Mm-hmm.
the last 2 years will also work.
Mm-hmm.
The middle orange
Yes.
one also looks very nicely. Also looks very nice. I auditioned that as well, but was kind of in a variegated mood.
Yeah. So
So
Denise is like, my OCD person wants to finish these, but this is going to teach me patience. So yes, it can teach you patience. Or if you did 22 or 2021,
yeah,
you can go grab solids from there. And I will, full disclosure, I'll probably do a little bit of both.
yeah.
Depending on what I need to have done to share with y'all, depending on, so you'll get to see me mix and match a little bit. And that's the beauty of these programs, is that it has built year over year. So if you've participated in the past year, you also have your 50 weight from 2020. If you did that one, then it's coming. One of y'all asked, how can I join? There's a link in the caption of this video, stringandstory.com/, I think it's Aurifil Color Builders. Let me double check my link on that. Oh, I don't know where I'm going to find
And
it.
then for the leaves and the outlines of the stem and the leaves, I used the darker color from the March box, which isn't very far away.
True.
March is close, much closer
Yes.
than we think it's going to be. And that one is 4653.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another note about that. And then for the veins and stuff in the leaves, which were really hard for me. Like I had a hard time with those. I used this one, which is 3320. It's a much lighter, softer variegated. I will say, so in the leaves, and let me see if that's a good one. You can see there's different highlights in the green. So like there's a very light patch here and a darker patch up here. And it's just how the thread painting worked itself out. But on the stem, I kept going back over the bottom of it, and I was just in a light part of the spool itself. And so I did actually pull, like I stopped because it wasn't getting darker and it wasn't getting darker, and I didn't want to keep adding thread. So I actually stopped, pulled my thread through until I got to a dark spot in the spool, and then went back over it with the darker portion of the thread. So you can sort of help
I love that
a little bit as well. Yeah.
That's a great tip of like, you can advance things a tiny bit.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all, I have advanced, speaking of advancing, onto cutting out these little bits. I've got them all pressed. Notice I switched to some tiny scissors.
Some little itty bitty scissors. Yeah. I want to say Annie Smith. Was it Annie who went over the scissors that she uses in
it
the
might have
Bandcamp?
been in Bandcamp. Yeah. Which y'all, like I mentioned, I will update links to make sure that y'all have links to the Bandcamp replay so that y'all can purchase that if you did not already purchase it, because we keep referring to it, and that's for a reason. It's because these are the leading experts in our industry.
Right.
And like wanting to make sure that y'all have the very best education on that. Yeah. But yeah, just having some little snips.
Most of what I know of applique is from Annie, and then the edge painting technique was from Barb. And then I actually have a couple of, we're not going to call them works in progress because they're not even there, but they're ladies in waiting.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
From Heidi, and then from Exhausted Octopus, whose name just ran out of my head.
Allie. Yes, Allie.
Oh my goodness.
She's incredible.
She is. she's one of our artisans, and I love seeing her stuff come through. It's just, ugh.
Every time she posts things, I'm just like, all right, well, now my jaw's going to be on the floor for another week. So
I have a couple of ladies in waiting using her techniques as well. So
I love it. Yeah, excuse me. And for those of you who do have the Bandcamp replay, Allie's technique of using scraps to then do some raw edge applique sea glass situations, like you're going to have some really fun scraps at the end of this that maybe you'll, have the opportunity to play further.
Yeah. And I can't wait. The one that I have pulled out, like it's my reward project for finishing these guys, is using the variegateds with the sea glass, and
yes, that would be so
great. Kind of like a bonus project.
Yeah, so you'll get a little bonus project at the end of this. That's a great way to look at it. I love it. All right, we could be here all day, but perhaps we should wrap up. What other sneak peek? Did you French knot those dots?
No, they're actually little itty bitty pieces cut out.
Is that in the pattern? Did I miss that when I was looking at the pattern earlier?
Yeah. There are templates that have all of the little itty bitty pieces. Okay, so I did not use the templates to cut out each little shape, each little dot.
God bless you. That makes me feel so much better about my life already.
I did for like the first 25 of them, and then I was like, well, it's an organic shape.
They're ovals.
Yeah. I did refer back to the templates as far as placement. So like you can see this leaf is supposed to be bending back. So perspective is going to make these dots flatter than some of the other dots
that makes
where
sense.
You have the curve up. And so that is where those reference drawings come into like that was very helpful. And
that makes sense.
Even though it doesn't look like it looks like it's recessed because of the colors that we're using, this is actually built on top of each other. So this orange color is the top one. And so so this is on my plate for this weekend, along with a couple other quilt contours. But
speaking of Allie's technique, I feel like those little dots is a perfect opportunity to use Allie's sea glass technique.
Yep.
So look, I'm just so thankful that everyone said yes to Bandcamp. I'm just so glad that we were able to do that. It has been a wonderful resource already, and we're in month 1.
But I just have to, whatever we do for next year, I'm going to have to, like design it or plan it with Bandcamp in mind.
Yes,
what
please.
Are we gonna do this Bandcamp on?
I mean, we could truly plan that, I think it's a great way to beef up the education.
Yeah, I do. I have to, I have a few things in mind, but I've got to put together and I've got to pitch it, and the people upstairs need to buy it first. So
if there are any nice things you need me to say at QuiltCon, feel free to script me. Feel free to script me if I need to be team 2023 already. All right, Rockstars, thank you so much for being here.
We need to get through this one first.
Yeah, we're already getting excited. It's just because we love this and we like knowing that it doesn't necessarily have to end in 11 months. So Rockstars, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an absolute blast. I've got the link in the caption of this video, stringandstory.com/Aurifil Color Builders. If you are not already a subscriber with us, we would love to have you. We're going to be doing stuff like this throughout the whole year. I'm sure that I will convince Kate to come back so we can chatter at you some more. I will be doing all of my blogs live on camera with y'all. I'm going to be writing blogs about the quilting. Like, there's going to be so much that just to make this a fun community activity. So if you've not jumped in, we'd be delighted to have you. I will send an email out if you're on our email list. That has that link as well, that has the Bandcamp replay link, that has the fabric bundle link. and I'll update the captions of these videos when we're done. So there'll be several different places you can get whatever links you may need. We are so thrilled that you are here with us. We're so thrilled that you're on this journey, and we're really, really excited for the year ahead. So thank you, Kate, for joining me and for being part of our celebration kickoff party.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for being here. And let's see, the cards I held up. What cards did I hold up? What cards? This will definitely have a replay. This is going to live on YouTube and live in the Quilting Rockstars Facebook group.
Yeah, Denise says that she uses the small Kai scissors. Those are amazing. I think that's what I have. Those are the ones that
I might get some new scissors at QuiltCon. That might be my QuiltCon treat.
That's a good treat.
Yeah, I think that might be a good treat. I feel like I should get to know the folks over at Kai. I need better scissors in my life. Oh, the paint chips. These were some little color substitutions that I was talking about for our fabric bundle. Yeah. So you'll see here, as I was updating y'all on that, amethyst is still lost somewhere on the planet. So we have substituted royalty in there. And we had an additional turquoise that we were going to add in, but we realized we did not have peach. So we've added peach, and we will also be throwing in a fat quarter of white. So you'll actually end up with 21 fat quarters in your bundle to get you started on this journey. All right, rock stars, have a wonderful day. Happy appliquing. I will see you back inside the Quilting Rockstars Facebook group at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I suspect we will still be doing this. So bring your questions, go get started on your stuff, even if it's just tracing templates if you're waiting on fabric. So if you've got questions, keep bringing them, and I'll keep doing my best to answer them. All right. Have a fabulous day, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, Kate.
Bye.